Okay, this is the first of 3 videos for the Gamyoung University Global Entrepreneurship Program. This is to replace a regular class session. 3 videos, 1 session. The theme for this week is pitching your startup to angel investors or venture capitalists. And this is part 1. There are several parts in this week, as mentioned, parts 1, 2, and 3. In this part 1, the starting section, we'll start with some general class information, the kinds of things we do when we usually start class. The second piece here is an introduction to startup timelines and an introduction to the idea of pitching. Part C, inside of part 1, is information on the elevator pitch. Now I'm going to move myself down a little bit, squeeze myself a little bit. Oh my gosh, I'm off the screen. There we go. We'll provide more information about pitching in part 2. Today, the first part is about the elevator pitch. The elevator pitch is something that you're going to do next week. You're going to present your version of it next week. So listen carefully today. And then part 2 has a lot more details about pitching, even though actually you won't be doing a pitch because it's too late in the semester. Part 3 will be outside of pitching. It's going to be general discussion, continuing the way we have been on things like vocabulary, a regular class session. Okay, so all of the information presented in these videos is available in the class CTL, the class Content Management System. At Gamyoung University, we call it the CTL. Much of the second video and basically all of the third video will be working with the CTL instead of using a PowerPoint background such as we have here. Okay, class stuff. Let's move me down out of the way. And we can make me a little bit bigger. There we go. First, a reminder. I may be introducing vocabulary to you. I may even begin teaching some of it. And I may start various vocabulary lists that I introduce. But you are responsible to learn the words. Okay? It's not my job to teach everything. You're graduate students. Go out there, take your time, and memorize the words in whatever strategy makes sense to you. Some people use flip cards, some people make little computer tests. Whatever works for you, I provide the information. I don't have to lecture it. Your job is to learn it. Now remember, you don't have to memorize precise definitions. Our aim is not definitions. In your life in the future, when you use these words, it's not a definitions test. You need to understand the general meaning so that when you get your graduation test and it includes vocabulary, the definitions in the test might not be exactly the definitions I gave you. But if you understand the ideas, you can take care of that test. So don't memorize, understand. Okay, please remember that next week's class has several parts. We've talked about this. It's in the CTL. You're going to do your elevator pitches, which I'm going to talk about just after this. You're going to have a final vocabulary session with me. And we're going to do a review for the final exam. The final test is a take-home test. We won't have a class meeting the examinations week. And then at the end of the class, we can have any kinds of questions you want. And maybe we'll go out for lunch. As you know, usually I can't join you for lunch because I have to hurry off to the other campus for an afternoon meeting, an afternoon class. But this next week, that class is canceled. There's some other event going on at school, and so I'm free. Maybe we'll get together for lunch. Okay, so the first item for now is timelines. Every startup needs to visualize a startup timeline. As I said last week, many businesses go bankrupt because they didn't analyze their timeline correctly. Now, last week the timeline focused on sales. And we talked about the idea that you cannot expect that your sales will climb in a steady let's do it this way. In a steady projection, a steady process. This month we sold $100, next month we sold $150, next month we sold $200, and then $300. You can't expect that. Sales and other activity go up and down, go up and down, and up and down. And what often happens in sales is that we fail to anticipate, we fail to budget for lower profitable months or lower sales months or some unusual expense that we didn't project. Okay? So that is a financial plan. Here we're going to talk more about a even longer term organizational development plan. So let's just take a look at this chart. And it starts over here. This particular timeline started in May of 2017 when the founder got an idea. And later you're going to hear me talking about my idea for this class, which is a little kid's backpack, which I'm going to call an adventure backpack. So the idea was a special kind of backpack for little kids. And this is basically a safety backpack. It prevents kids from getting lost or being abducted. Well, it doesn't exactly prevent it, but it makes it easy to find them. So that's the idea. Let's make a backpack so that we can find kids who are lost. That's my idea. Now, from my idea until the time that the project actually started, in this case, you can see it was about 18 months, close to 18 months. Why? Because it takes time to do some of the legal stuff to make my business organized. It takes time to find initial financing, maybe borrowing from my neighbors or my friends, or maybe it's mortgaging my house or selling something to get enough money to get things actually started. And of course, sometimes an idea we just sit on and go, I don't know if that's going to work. I've got a good job. Do I really want to risk everything? But finally, in November 2018, we started a project. And until May of 2019, which is again about 6 months, we spent that time designing, figuring out what way it's going to go which way, and prototyping. Remember, we talked before, prototype is the first real size or near sized item that works, that is fully functional, but it's only one. You made it by hand. It's kind of a showcase. This is what we're doing. Everybody look at this. Isn't this cool? Do you want to support this project? Okay? It should be functional. It should be full-sized, or if it is downsized, it has to be downsized at a level where people can look at it and go, yeah, okay, I understand how that will work when it's full-sized. Okay? So we have spent the time designing. Maybe we needed engineers. Maybe we needed artists. Okay? Along the same concept, while we're focusing on the actual product or the specific service that we will provide, somewhere along here, before we get too far into designing and prototyping, we need to make sure that our organization is well settled. For example, have we found our logo? Have we found our service mark? Now, we haven't talked about service mark, but service mark is that few phrases, very short words that people associate with your company. Nowadays, McDonald's is using "I'm loving it." I'm loving it, right? Nike is "just do it." Okay, and we're going to talk a bit more in a few slides about some other service marks. But for now, just remember that things like logo, trademark, which is related, service mark, which is a few words, incorporation, if you're doing that, or getting all the paperwork done for partnership, all that stuff needs to be done around this same time. Okay, from May 2019 to July 2019, we basically spend 2 months testing the project. So, for example, if it's a bag, how strong is it? Is it going to break easy? Let's have a few people use it on a daily basis. On a daily basis, let's use it. Let's find out if it's going to break. Let's see if we can break it. How tough is it? From that prototype and testing, which means we probably have to make a few more prototypes, we will finally get into something like production. Now, this trial production means we hope to sell 100 every month. And if we can do that, we're going to establish a permanent factory. But for now, we've got a kind of a temporary factory. We're going to make a bunch. We're going to find out, can we produce at a mass level, at a many item level, in the same way we produced our prototype. Our prototype was probably done by hand, very carefully, by one person who knew exactly what they wanted to do. But in trial production, we need to think about, well, are there going to be more people making it? Instead of doing it by hand, is there going to be a machine? We have to try this out, because we might find out that works really nice, that something that works really nicely, making it by hand, being very careful, it just doesn't work very well on a factory level. That at the batch level or the mass production level, it just doesn't work right. Or this machine that we thought would work doesn't work very well. We have to redesign the machine or buy a different machine. Maybe we need a bigger machine because the smaller machine we got doesn't work. We bought a used machine and it fails. This is the purpose for this trial production. We might never sell these trial items. They might all end up being kind of not right. Maybe we have to redesign something so that the factory level, this batch level production will work. Finally, in December, we launch. We have products. We're ready to sell. We open up our website. We go to a few stores and have a place to show our goods in those stores. Maybe we get a big company to distribute for us. But now, launch means we're selling. Even though in some cases we're only selling pre-orders. It could be that even once we've launched, it's like we know the factory works now, but we don't have a bunch in hand. So it's going to take a little time. So we launch, that means we actually are out there ready to accept sales, but we might not sell, we might not actually ship things for sale until February 2020. So look at this timeline, May 2017 to February 2020. That is 18, 19, 20. It's 33 months. And during all this time, we haven't made any money. Well, maybe a little bit when we started the launch. But we really haven't made any money But all the things we had to do, some of them cost money: testing, designing, batch, trial, production. All these things spent money, and if I'm working on the project, it means I'm not working at an outside job. I'm not making my regular pay. I gave up my job to do this. So we really have to factor in the timeline so that we understand, in part, when can we expect to start making money, and then we can work on that sales curve. How often do we sell? How much do we sell? When do we have bad months? So that's the idea of a timeline. Okay, now we're going to get into a lot of words. I'm sorry. Usually I try to make my PowerPoints clean and nice, and that's what we're going to be talking about in the pitching video. But for right now, I just have a lot of words, and I'm going to kind of be reading it because there's some key phrases that we want to think about. So, pitching as an introduction. To get your angel investor or venture capitalist, okay? These words in bold are words you should know. They are in our vocabulary list. Many of them we looked at already. Some of them are coming last week or this week or next week. To get your angel investor or venture capitalist to provide your needed startup funds, or also called startup financing, you need to be able to convince them that your business will make the profit they seek. You need to be able to convince them, because they're not just going to give you money. You need to be able to convince them that your business will make the profit they seek. Remember, since so many startups fail, they're looking for more than triple their profits. If they give you $10,000, they expect to get $30,000 back, because there's two other companies they gave $10,000 to that failed. So $30,000 just brings them back to even. They haven't even made any money yet because two other companies failed. So if you can't show them better than triple their money, why should they give you the money? They're looking for big wins. It's kind of like, I want to hit a home run, right? I want to hit a home run. Well, I can't hit a home run if I'm taking baby swings. I want to be safe. Make sure you hit the ball. Let's hit it very carefully. That's not a home run. Home run means you take a big swing. A big swing can mean a big miss. It's Korean series time here, so I can talk baseball. So they're going for the big swings. So they want to see big profit. Okay, here is an ugly screen. Wow, I'm just going to take myself completely outside the picture. How are you going to do this? How are you going to pitch your company to get money? This is our introduction to pitching, remember? How are you going to pitch? You know now that those venture capitalists and angel investors, they want to hit a home run. You got to convince them that you're the swinger, that you've got the game that's going to give them their return. So, you need a vision statement. Okay, we talked about those before. To establish the scope and purpose of a company. What is your company trying to do? For example, there's a problem and we discovered the problem and we found a solution and we're going to address that solution, the scope and the purpose of the company, and reflects its values and beliefs. So, as an example, an easy example is, if you are a Christian, you're going to do things that are consistent with your Christian beliefs. And for some Christians, that might mean we're going to open a business, but we're not going to work on Sunday. Wow, that could be really tough. Or not. Depends on the kind of the business. If you are a barber and you cut hair, well, a lot of barbershops could be closed on Sundays. But actually, a lot of customers want to get their hair cut on Saturday because that's their day off. So how are you going to make your vision and a need and a value match? This is part of the problem. Okay. If you're going to sell burgers, if you're vegetarian, that means you're going to sell veggie burgers. Okay, that would be consistent. So you need a vision statement. You need a business model that describes how you intend to create and capture value with your business concept. Okay, so if you're a barber shop, how is it that you're going to make money? You know, what is it that's different about you? If you're just going to be in a neighborhood that the other barber is retiring and you're taking over his shop and that business is going to continue, well, that's probably safe, that's probably fine, but that's not a venture business, and nobody really wants to invest in your venture business, in your barbershop. So, a business model to describe how you intend to create and capture value with your business concept. We didn't talk a lot about that a lot in this class. That should go in one of your other classes. And a business plan that presents a complete and detailed picture of the new business and the strategy to launch that business. Okay? Now we talked about a business plan, and that is a written document. We need to have these things in hand, in our mind, on our desk, so that we can do this project, this target that we have, pitching our business, pitching our project. Okay? We need to have these other things done before we can go pitching. This business plan looks at a target market, a specific group of potential customers that a business aims its products or services. Okay, so for example, it's a vegetarian burger. Obviously, we're going to sell more of our burgers to vegetarians. But if my restaurant is in Daejeon and my customers are in Daegu, more than 2 hours away, it doesn't sound like a very focused target market. Am I selling frozen burgers that could be shipped? Maybe okay. If I'm selling hot sandwiches, that probably doesn't work. So we need to identify our target market, and we identify that target market in part through market positioning. For example, if there are other products like ours, is ours cheaper? Is ours better? Remember the dish soap, Koreans call it pong pong, that we talked about earlier? Maybe our market positioning is that we are looking at the specific market niche here. The market niche is women who go shopping with their babies. And so we're going to design our dish soap with cute cartoon characters that are like dolls that the children will say, I want that. You know, imagine a bright yellow duck that we can put in a bathtub. Well, this is something that American kids identify with, a yellow duck, and some Korean kids too. Or Bororo, the Korean character. Now, if that kid could play with that Bororo bottle doll, even when it's not empty, you've got to make sure it's got a good cap so it doesn't leak. And then after we use it, the kid could put it in the bathtub and play with it. Well, our market niche is women who shop with their children, small children, and our market positioning is we are not trying to be the cheapest, we're not trying to be the best. Hey, dish soap is dish soap. Dish soap is dish soap. But our container is our market position. Okay, so a specific market niche for the product or service. And identification of the necessary startup resources. So our business plan includes all these things, as we've talked before. We summarize business models, needing necessary startup resources. We have to be able to tell ourselves and to other people, what do we need to make this business start and run for the first year or so? What capital do we need? Money, buildings, large expensive equipment would go under capital, special trucks, skilled labor if we need skilled labor. If we just need simple unskilled labor, that's okay, that's easy. But if we need skilled labor, special engineers or chemists, what do we need? Management expertise. If you're going to run a business, there are things you need to know. You've heard me say before, if you're running a business and you don't know basic bookkeeping, you're going to get cheated. You need to learn basic accounting, basic bookkeeping, so that whoever is helping you doesn't cheat you, doesn't steal your money. We always hear about these famous artists and sports players or whatever who somewhere down the line become bankrupt because other people cheated or did things with their money that they didn't understand. Okay? So we need some management expertise. Example, budgeting. What legal and financial advice do we need? For example, do I want to make a corporation? Do I not want to make a corporation? Do I really understand this? Maybe I should get a lawyer to help me understand what I need. Am I going to lease a property, rent a property, buy a property? There could be advantages to each, including tax advantages. Maybe I need some financial advice. Okay, so it lists facility here, but facility is a kind of capital. Okay, a kind of capital. Remember, capital is the big money things that you have that make your business possible. Includes cash. It could include a building that you own or a lease that you've already paid most of. So it becomes something the company basically owns. Capital, you own it. Equipment and customers needed to start a business. Oh, wait. You need customers? Sure. You are identifying your market niche, remember? You're identifying who you want to sell to. You need to make sure that those people really exist and that they're really ready to buy your product. So while the Bororo dish soap or the Yellow Ducky dish soap might seem a really clever idea and you've identified a market niche, lots of women go shopping with little kids, you might find out that women think that it's not an appropriate toy, that it's not the kind of thing they want to give their child. And so therefore, actually, there's no customers. All right, let's move. Now, next week, you're going to present a rough elevator pitch. You've only got a week to develop it, so it's not something perfect. You're going to be speaking in English for 1 or 2 minutes. It says only. This is not a major presentation. On the other hand, it's actually a little bit long, and we'll talk about that. 1 or 2 minutes only. Think about it this way. Why should I give you money for your business? You're asking me for $10,000. In Korean money, 천만원. 천만원. $10,000. Why should I give you this money? I have it. I'm going to invest it somewhere. Why should I give it to you? Why should I give it to Miss Bach's wedding dress backpacks? A concept I really like. The concept I like. I'm not sure about the business. Why should I give it the money? Okay? So that's your focus. Now, you don't need to have images. You don't need to have a pitch deck. You can do everything with your voice. But you can. So most of what follows after this slide, or excuse me, most of what follows in the next video is about pitch decks, which are much more complicated. Pitch decks are usually designed for the 10 to 20 to maybe 30-minute presentation. Okay? A pitch deck is often simply thought of as the PowerPoint or Keynote or Prezi or whatever kind of visual presentation, but that's not it. Pitch decks are simultaneously understood. Even while you're talking about your pitch deck as a PowerPoint file, we understand it as both a PowerPoint file and paper, because when you finish your presentation, somebody might want paper copies. So you're ready to give them paper. That's why I don't like Prezi. Prezi doesn't make nice paper. Prezi confuses me, that swoosh, 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 and I get car sick. I get motion sickness from this Prezi flying around, and it doesn't print well. So we're talking about something that is both a presentation slide, such as a PowerPoint, and paper, but more importantly, a pitch deck focuses on the talk. Okay? The PowerPoint is not your message. The PowerPoint is complementing your message. You are the spokesperson. You're the person who is going to sell your company or fail to sell your company. So, when we're talking about pitch decks, we're talking about the visuals, the PowerPoint or whatever, and the talk that goes with it. Your focus in your elevator pitch next week is the key parts of your business. The key parts of your business. The part that will let somebody decide they want to give you money or they don't. Now, if you have a larger business and you want to market or you want to pitch just one product, that's fine. If you have a small business that identifies completely with one product, that's fine. It's just a sample. We're just going to try out some skills. Okay? So your focus is the key parts of your business. How can you describe these efficiently and clearly? This is not something you can write in 5 minutes. It's not something I can write in 5 minutes. You write it, you think about it, you go away, you come back a few hours later, you look at it, and you say, that's not quite right. Maybe you start over, or maybe you change a word, and you play with it, and you play with it, and 2 or 3 or 4 days later, you're getting to where, it's getting close. It's just about what I want. So you're working on your words, and you're working on your imagery. Could be photographs, could be a table or a graph. It could be the thing. I often talk to my students about realia, and I say, well, I can't bring a car into the classroom, so I'm just going to show you this key and say, this is my realia. This represents a car. It's not a car. Okay, it's not exactly realia. It's kind of more like a model or a representative, but using something like this, you get an idea. Let's talk about cars. It helps you connect. So how can you describe your parts of your business or the parts of your product clearly, easily, efficiently? So, your elevator pitch in real life should be done in 30 seconds. Usually we say 20 to 30 seconds. Just imagine you get in an elevator and there's a big shot, a prospective angel investor, somebody who's got lots of money and who often invests in startup companies. Maybe you're lucky to meet him. Maybe you knew this is his building. But anyway, you're going up a few floors. You've only got 20 or 30 seconds to make him go, that sounds good. That sounds interesting. Right? He's going to go away. He's going to walk out of that elevator. If you can't catch his attention now, you might never get another chance. What are you going to say in 20 to 30 seconds to make him say, I want to know more. That's your elevator pitch. So I'm giving you more time. I'm giving you 1 to 2 minutes to do this. Not that you have to use the time. I'm giving you more time if you want it. Because you're less experienced, because it's harder to organize things the first time, because you only have a week to do this, not a month or 6 weeks to develop and refine and fine-tune. Okay? I hope you add a little bit more than the minimum elevator pitch. Just think about it this way. Imagine the person you're talking to in the elevator says, interesting. Come into my office. I want to hear more. Well, are you ready to talk more? Got an interesting typographical here. Every once in a while I find that I've made errors in my typing. Let's try it this way. There's a quote, and there's a quote with a capital C. Come into my office. Imagine somebody says that. Well, what are you going to say? Now, you don't need to do a full pitch of 20 minutes. That's crazy. That's too hard. Okay, we're talking 1 to 2 minutes. Really small type here. This is really too small for a PowerPoint. This is more of a note to me than for you to read. But anyway, 2 or 3 PowerPoint slides will be allowed in your pitch, in your elevator pitch. Remember, in a real elevator, you don't got PowerPoint. You might have a photograph, or you might have a thing in your hand. You have to do it off your head. But for this class, I'll let you have, you can have 2 or 3 PowerPoint slides if you want. But do not read your PowerPoints. Okay? I'm going to grade this so softly. I want everybody to get full points. But if you stand there and read your PowerPoints, kind of like what I'm doing now, then you're not going to get the points. Right? It's only 1 or 2 minutes. You can remember things. You can write little note cards, but do not read your notes like this, because that will not be okay. Talk to us. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. Okay? Talk with us. Share a message with us. So the elevator pitch is all about you. Me? Me? Yes, you. You're going to show who you are. You're going to show what you do. And you're going to tell them what you want to do. Okay? So if you're looking for a job, you'll do an elevator pitch if you get a good chance for a smaller company. If you are trying to sell a product, you're going to introduce yourself because people want to know who the heck you are. And you're going to talk about what you do and what you want to do. Because you're not selling an existing product. You know, you're not selling Post-it notes. We all know what Post-it notes are. We all know where to buy them. It's a Post-it. No big deal. But what do you want to do? I don't want to sell Post-it notes. I want to sell adventure backpacks. When you do your pitch, don't speak too fast. Sometimes, especially now I'm getting older, sometimes I speak too fast. Don't get too excited. Don't talk too fast. Don't speak too fast. Speak clearly so people understand you very well. Be confident. Smile. You can do this. All right? Don't be too shy. Oh, well, maybe don't. Nah, come on. You can do this. Smile. I've got a good opportunity for you. Whoa, wouldn't you be interested in these adventure backpacks? Adventure backpacks, I'm busy. No, that's the wrong way to talk about it. But it's the right attitude. I have something that you want. I have something that's going to be a great chance for you. All right? Smile. You can do this. Next, know your audience. If you have a meeting, you're expecting to talk to somebody, then find out more about them. We saw the 2 videos in class, the YouTube video, and what was the other one? I've forgotten. And it was clear that the people coming to do their pitches knew the audience. In one of them, they said, well, we know which person we really want. Right? But they had gifts for them. They had gifts that matched them. They knew who was involved in what area. Somebody was a specialist in big department stores. They could get you into Walmart, was kind of the idea. One of them had good connections with Disneyland. One of them was the home shopping queen, they called her. Right? That she had especially good contacts with the TV shopping networks. All right? One person was a specialist with electronics and online shopping and things like that. So know who you're talking to, figure out what it is that you have that they want. But on the other hand, if it's a random meet, you didn't expect to meet that person, and you just met them, and then you make a good guess. Okay? Try to figure out what it is that they might be interested in. At the same time, you might want to play a little safe. If you don't know them very well, don't want to be too risky. But if you're too vanilla, too plain, that you don't connect with that audience, with that potential funder, then they're not going to be interested in you. You have to show some connection. So know your audience as best you can. And the fourth point here is related to know your audience, and that is a question of a hook. You know, a hook, like a fish hook, catch something. Do you have a hook, a question that the listener immediately connects with? All right? If you know that somebody has a daughter and that the person lives in Los Angeles and the daughter is middle school girl, you can bet that daughter is in love with Disneyland. I mean, it's a really good bet. And so a hook might be something that connects with Disneyland. How many times have you taken your daughter to Disneyland? Wouldn't it be great if somehow Disneyland could come to you? Okay, there's a connection. Oh my gosh, I keep taking my daughter to Disneyland, you know, and it's an hour and a half drive there, it's an hour and a half drive back, and it's 8 hours there. When I get home, I'm exhausted, I don't have any energy the next day. So if there was a way to bring Disneyland to me, wow, that would be wonderful. So some kind of hook, some kind of question that the listener will go, oh yeah. All right, so here's one model of a kind of a talk. It's my little talk. Hi, I'm James Brown with Aardvark Enterprises. We produce and market children's adventure backpacks. Bags that allow children to carry their things, have fun, and parents can monitor their whereabouts. Our aim is to keep kids safe and reduce parents' worries. Now, if I know something about this person, I may be able to get a hook in here. The thing that didn't quite work right, let's fix it. A hook, if it fits, you worry about your kids, or maybe your grandkids running around in the city, or maybe in the countryside, don't you? I'm James Brown with Aardvark Enterprises. We produce and market children's adventure backpacks. Bags that allow children to carry their things, have fun, and parents can monitor their whereabouts. You worry about your grandkids running around the city, don't you? Well, our aim is to keep kids safe and reduce parents' worries. Maybe something like that. Perhaps I'm already speaking too quickly. I know you guys are looking at the clock. It's about 46 minutes for this video, but this video is almost finished. If I have a sample to show, I'd show it. Now, this is a generic picture from the internet, a My Little Pony backpack. I would want to have a backpack, especially I could carry it in my hand, maybe full size. For little kids would be smaller, like a kindergarten kid's backpack, maybe, or an elementary school kid's backpack. But it would also have the features I'm talking about. Now, I haven't talked about those features yet, but I could show you the bag and then start talking about my unique selling proposition. What is it about my product or my company that is unique, that is important, that is different than everybody else? What is the key selling aspect? Okay? The thing that makes people want to buy my thing and not somebody else's thing. For example, a kid's backpack. There's so many companies that sell backpacks. Why should somebody buy my adventure backpack? Well, here we go. Unlike most children's backpacks, ours has both a GPS navigational signal and an emergency button kids can push to immediately signal distress. Parents and security services will know exactly how to quickly find your kid. Now, I just invented this backpack today, so it's probably kind of silly. But it has a couple of ideas in it. If you have a cell phone, it has a GPS navigational signal in it, probably. Not only does GPS allow you to find something, but it allows you to find something because that map shows where you are, shows where your phone is, right? That's GPS, that's the navigational signal. Your phone has that on unless you turn it off, all right? So we got that. And an emergency button, I'm just thinking about this old TV commercial for senior citizens who had an emergency button, emergency like a phone. This was actually from before the time of cell phones. And it was so funny. The TV commercial, they would have a silver-haired or a white-haired old person fallen down, and they would push the button, deet, 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 and the security agent would answer, say, "Yeah, this is ABC Security Company. Help me, I've fallen down and I can't get up." And they could know exactly everything. It was a kind of an emergency phone. And I think about close to 20 years ago, Korea tried to sell some emergency phones. Very, very, very simple cell phones that were basically only had 2 or 3 phone numbers. So children couldn't play. They could just, call mother and grandmother and school teacher or something like that. So some kind of idea like that for little kids. So if the kid falls down or somebody is doing something or the kid's afraid, they would just reach on their shoulder and push a button, and deet, 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 deet. It would send the signal to whoever is registered, and it would tell them where the child is. Something like that. I don't know. So, it's very, very nice if you can ask a question to the listener in your 20 to 30 second elevator pitch. Ask them something they'll want to answer in a good way for you, and they'll want to think about it later. So for example, do you know how many kids are abducted each year? That means strangers take them away. Or maybe if the mother and father are separated, one parent is taking the kid away. How many kids are lost and need hours or even days to be found? Little children who wander off and nobody knows where they are and they can't find them. It needs some hours. Maybe you've got the army or some police officers, a bunch of neighborhood kids going out. Jimmy, where are you? Right? So many kids are lost and it takes hours or even days to find them. Or kids get hurt and they need a stranger to take them to a hospital or a doctor or something because they can't go home. They can't tell their mom. Now, if you're going to ask a question like this, you need to know the answer. You should have statistics if you're going to ask a statistics question, like how many kids get abducted. But you're asking a question to make people realize the importance of your product or service. A different kind of product would have a different kind of question. You're going to talk about hamburgers, you need to ask something. Do you know how many hamburgers are eaten? How many chicken restaurants there are in Korea or in Daegu? How much fried chicken is eaten in a month or in a year in Korea? There's a big demand. All right. Well, pretty much the end here. For your elevator pitch, you need to practice. You need to practice. You should be able to do this elevator pitch in 20 to 30 seconds. I'm giving you a minute or 2 minutes. You can add a little more to it, but in real life, your elevator pitch should be 20 to 30 seconds. 45 seconds is probably too long. You've already lost people's attention. If you've seen those YouTube studies, so many people watch YouTube that YouTube has a way of checking how long people will watch videos. And at how many seconds do people click off? And they have these studies that say that 5 seconds everybody's there, 10 seconds you lose a few, by 20 seconds people are closing the YouTube and going to something else. 40 seconds, 60 seconds, 2 minutes. If you're doing a commercial, trying to sell something on YouTube or on TV, longer commercials, people are like, oh, I don't want to watch this, and they get up and they walk away. Go to the restroom, go to the kitchen to get a drink. But you need to be able to get something that is exciting, powerful, and short so you don't lose people's attention. 45 seconds is too long for a real elevator pitch. In our class, you can have up to 2 minutes. Think about whether you have a sample to give away. It could be a full size. It could be a smaller sized, a model. Now, that could cost you money, but if you're going after big money, $10,000, can you afford to give away a $7 backpack or a $22 backpack? If there's a good chance you're going to make money, well, you should be ready to give away samples, if you can. And if you can't give away a sample, at least have an interesting business card. Now, for example, my business cards are plain and white and boring. They're really boring. I don't have anything to sell. I'm a university professor. If I show you a card like, I got this in the picture, like this one, which you can't hardly see, it's got a lot of text, it has a tiny little picture, it doesn't mean a whole lot. You get 100 of these in a month. How are you going to remember this guy? If you turn this particular card over, it's got a photograph of the guy, which might help you put his face to the card. And if you have a really good memory, it might help you remember what this guy was talking about. But still, it's not really exciting. It doesn't really connect with your business. Let's take a look at a couple different cards. This particular card only has one word on one side. Dream. Well, that's a nice idea, but dream what? Dream how? It doesn't really say anything about the organization. Turn it over. It's got this woman's name. She's actually an attorney. This is a charitable law office. But unless you look really small, really, really small, I mean, it's too small for me to read. I need my reading glass. This guy. I've got glasses. I also have a magnifying glass. With a magnifying glass, it says, to do justice. Justice. Basically to support, to provide legal services to people who need it, who can't pay for it, because they're being disadvantaged, they're being treated poorly. Actually, they do a lot of work with immigrant women, non-Koreans in Korea, who don't have much money, who need help. But this card doesn't really help much. This card's a little bit better. This card, at least it has a picture on it, which is what? Can you guess? Well, at first glance, maybe you can't. But if the backside doesn't help much. But if you can read, and I don't think you can, it won't be in focus well enough. But underneath this MM, it says publications. And once I tell you publications, then you can guess that this is a book. This logo is a book. So now we have something that's a little bit closer aligned to what it is they're doing. And if you have a little imagination, you could imagine that that book is also two M's. There's two M's there, and it's a book that's opened and the pages are curled. So that's getting much better. But for example, now, if we were talking about Soyeon's wedding dress backpacks, I might want a card that has a picture of a wedding dress and a picture of a backpack, or somehow, some way to fuse these two ideas where somebody could look at it and go, oh yeah, wedding dress backpacks. I can remember that. All right, so if you don't have a business card, if you don't have a sample, at least have a business card, one that is designed to help people remember who you are and what you do. Okay, my last note here is that many of the ideas in this presentation so far came from this webpage. And so I understand that in this video you can't very well click on this or do it. I can just tell you that it's www.mindtools.com/pages/article elevator-pitch.htm. But again, remember that this information, all the information in this video and the next video, all of it is on the class CTL, so you can get the information there. All right? And that is the end of the first video. Thank you very much. Let me stop this video.